welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Zan, the part-time adventurer. That's Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there, and happy giving of thanks on this week of overgorging and eating. We're coming to you in a very thankful and happy way. Some of us from the El Ranchero and some of us from our normal bat cave. But today we've decided to undertake the most elusive of movies, the Thanksgiving movie. And today we're going to talk a lot, I've got a feeling, about travel on planes, on trains, and on automobiles.
That's right. Thanksgiving is the time of giving thanks. And somehow this movie came up. I've never seen this movie before. It's the Steve Martin and John Candy classic. But at the same time, I wouldn't say I've always wanted to see it, but I've been like, oh, I'm sure that's pretty good. I am a Steve Martin fan. So knowing that he was in this, I'm like, cool, let's give this a go. Let's check it out. But it was not what I was expecting. I was thinking of something completely different. And I was actually thinking of like Throw Mama from the Train. And I thought that it had a similar concept to this. Like it was like a heist type of thing. And boy, was I wrong.
No, this is a movie that I'm sure as we record this, you're in another state from your home state on a business trip, hit home for you in a big way. We both at some point in our careers have traveled a bunch and done that. But I mean, for a Thanksgiving movie, Thanksgiving's all about nostalgia, same food every year, same family every year. You all get together, and this is a great nostalgia beverage of the Candyman and Steve Martin, who I agree. Steve Martin's career has had so many different like stages, and all of them have been immaculate.
You know, the most recent thing that I watched with Steve Martin, besides this movie, was that series on Hulu with him and Martin Short and Selena Gomez.
Murders in the Building or something.
Yeah, Only Murders in the Building. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Gosh, those guys are just so good. I'm not a big Martin Short fan, but when you put those two together, and I do like Selena Gomez, it's just like, wow, there's a lot of talent. There's just entertainment that makes you feel good. And it happens to be about murders, but it still makes you feel good because it's just damn good to see Steve Martin, you know? And Martin Short, even though I don't like him, they work well together, and it's just freaking entertaining.
Steve Martin just makes everybody he's in a movie with better. Like, it's impossible to not be in a movie with Steve Martin and it not be amazing.
Like, yeah, I can't think of a bad one. I really can't.
Even like The Man with Two Brains and stuff like that, the weird stuff from the 80s is great. And I mean, this came after The Jerk, I believe, right?
I believe so.
Have you seen The Jerk?
I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
I love Steve Martin, but that was one of the movies that I just had no desire to see. Probably because when it came out, or when I was younger and I heard about it, I was like, oh, there's no machine guns or gunfights. Nah, I'm good.
You wouldn't have gotten it when you were younger, but now you would get it.
Who knows?
It could be. We need
Maybe
material. The SAG strike could be ended by the time this podcast comes out.
I think it officially ended, right?
Well, not yet. It's not. Spoiler alert, we're recording this on November 8th, and it's supposed to end November 9th. Unless somebody screws it up, you know. But
I thought I saw something saying it was over, but or they came to an agreement. So maybe it's not officially over, but they came to an agreement, and that's where.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe now you'll start seeing trailers for movies. They're like, hey, that looks badass. Who knows? Maybe they'll re-release some movies that were like really good, but they couldn't plug them because of the strike.
You never know. But there's certain things that are beyond saving.
You know what I do want?
Not the Marvels, but maybe they settled just to get Brie Larson out there and try and get some more pre-sales for that movie. They'll stretch it over
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Oh, that's if you're listening to this, there's already been or no, next week we're releasing the Marvels. So you'll get our thoughts on that movie. Possibly. Or it came out the week before.
I've got an emergency right now. I need to go to the bathroom.
Go.
So I'll be back in a hour.
You know the real shocking part about what you just did?
You had to as well?
No, you did it without a phone. I did it before the podcast, bro. Off the treadmill onto the shitter into the room.
Yeah, man, I pulled a Cascada and had to evacuate the dance floor right there. Like, Jesus Christ.
Hey,
All
sometimes it
right.
happens.
Anyways,
Where were we
well,
at?
here's the funny thing. I'm just gonna keep this all in and then just release this as a short or a reel or whatever, and then everyone can say like, that's the guy who shit himself on his podcast.
You didn't
But
shit yourself.
true, I didn't shit myself.
Good
But
job.
yeah. But yeah, where were we? On with Thanksgiving.
Depending on when this podcast releases and we actually see the Marvels and find time to talk about it, it could be the week before, it could be the week after this one. But hopefully they get some pub for it. They build some hype because the trailer they released during the football that you don't watch on Monday night was pretty decent and alluded to possibly people that might make it better.
Yeah, I've seen some headlines and it'll be interesting, but you know, with the way that movies are now and the way that Marvel is, where I think everyone is just expecting Endgame for every single movie for Marvel. And so it's just like, is that a fair assessment of how it should be? I don't think it is, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining. I've said this to you, and I'll say it to the public and all of our viewers out there. There hasn't been a bad Marvel movie.
Or
There's
two.
just there's just been movies that are like, not as good as the others, and in my opinion. I'll watch every Marvel movie over. The only one that I won't necessarily watch again in like regular repeated viewing is going to be Eternals, just because it's a long movie and I'm not invested in any of those characters.
It's
I
because
like some of them.
it's
It's not a bad movie. It's
bad.
not a bad movie.
Mm.
If you took the Marvel stamp off of it, you'd be like, huh, that was very interesting. That was a very interesting superhero movie. But because Marvel is stamped on there, that's why Eternals gets hate. Which, by the way, there's supposed to be a sequel to that, but no word has been said. You know what superhero movie is getting a sequel that we have also reviewed, but is not a Marvel movie?
Blue Beetle.
Mm, it is one of our highest viewed episodes.
No.
Fucking
No.
Sly Stallone and Samaritan is going to have a
Oh,
sequel.
Adrian, we did it.
Get Me Wet and Feed Me Chocolate Part 2 is going to be coming out.
Yes. Oh,
I
tears of joy.
I wanted to call you. I wasn't going to text you. I was going to call you and celebrate and just be like, I think I know how we're going to make it into the big time, but we have to wait until Samaritan 2 comes out. So
They'll throw
yep.
that bitch together in like 2 weeks. So no
Amazon.
worries there.
Looks like I'm going to have to re-up to Amazon Prime because I'm sure that's where it'll come out. But Samaritan 2, everyone, you wanted it? Well, no, you didn't.
No.
You asked for it? Well, no one asked for it. But we're going to get it. So Stallone, you are a miracle worker, in my opinion.
He doesn't die in any movie. He refuses. So he just keeps coming back, baby.
Oh, well, I kind of want to just review Samaritan 2 now. Like I'm gonna put a strike on this podcast, and I will not review another movie until Samaritan 2 comes out.
Well, it's been nice knowing you. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, I think didn't you say like I will quit this podcast if we do Samaritan 2, or maybe that was Eternals. Maybe it was Eternals 2.
It was
maybe
Eternals because that movie's terrible. Speaking of movies that aren't terrible, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving again. And this is the movie that we're talking about. But you know how we roll. This is all fun and games.
Tangential. So
exactly.
many so many streams. Oh wait, this isn't the Loki podcast. We can't talk about that. Um,
So
no.
I like about the movie. I've never seen it before. I completely didn't know and confused what I thought it was, and I was in for not a rude awakening, but just like a really big surprise that like, wow, I know jack about this movie.
Yeah,
How
I haven't
about
seen
you? How
this.
many times have you seen it? What's your background and origin story?
I'm sure I watched this movie back in the day, back in the Hollywood video days, but I haven't watched this movie since I saw it on VHS all those years ago. And I don't think I remember it as, very well because there's so, and I don't think it hit with me as much as it does now in life, having spent years on the road, traveling from place to place, having experienced many of the things Steve Martin goes through. Um, yeah, it's so good. I was very happy as I watched it. I was just like, oh, this is going to be such a good podcast because as much as we're giving thanks for, you know, listeners and movies and what, I don't even know, I'm giving thanks that we found a movie that we're both just going to rip on things that don't have anything to do with the movie. But let's start by talking about the thing that makes the movie great. The character lineup in this could not be better, and you've got two aces in Steve Martin and John Candy. You say there's never been a bad Marvel movie. There's never been a bad John Candy movie.
I'm not like a huge John Candy fan, but he's well, I take that back. There is a bad movie, and you know exactly which one I'm talking about because I'll never watch that movie ever again. Even though you gave me a
Oh, it's
copy
so
of that movie,
good. It's so good.
I won't even utter the name of that movie
Oh, the
because it
Dan
really is.
Aykroyd fever dream.
Oh God, because it really is
Yes.
nothing but bullshit.
Yes.
That
It's
movie,
nothing but amazing. Nothing
nothing
but
but.
amazing. That movie shows the versatility of John Candy as he plays a man, possibly a woman, and all of the in between. Like, yes, yes. But
Yeah.
um, John Candy plus John Hughes equals never bad.
I didn't realize John Hughes was associated
Yeah.
with this movie.
Wrote and directed it.
Yeah,
Wrote and directed it in 3 days based upon a flight he took that got diverted from New York to Wichita.
really, that's what it was based off of.
100%
Like,
a real thing.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that makes sense now because there's a few things about this movie that just seems absolutely batshit bonkers. And I was like, where are they going with this, and why? My critique, and I'll string upon it throughout the podcast, is that there are so many parts of this movie that are just unnecessary, and it's just too long. I think the movie itself is too long. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying, like, couldn't you edit it and tightened it up just a little bit?
It
You
was
know,
originally longer.
really? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Wow.
there's a cut where there's a scene in the hotel where they order pizza and all that stuff. Um, you know where the guy breaks into the room?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the pizza delivery guy that they didn't give a tip to because they didn't have money or what. It is just a whole thing, and it tried to connect a lot more pieces, and they had to cut it because audiences said exactly what you said. Hey, this is too long.
It's still too long. Like,
Well,
I'm
you
not, like
know
I
what?
said, I'm not complaining. I'm just making an observation and stating my opinion on it.
I'll complain since you brought it up. The one thing about this movie that's too long is the drive from St. Louis to Chicago.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
no need
yeah.
for an overnight stay there.
Yeah.
That's going 78 like they were. That's a 4.5 hour drive, buddy. Like, you don't get sundown and deep night on that drive. It doesn't happen, especially with nobody on the road. You're going.
I tried to just like keep that out, right? Like I knew, like, wow, oh, he's in St. Louis. Okay, cool. He's in good. They're in good
They'll be
shape.
home in no time.
Yeah,
They'll be
but
home in
I'm
no
just
time.
like, okay, I'm not gonna pull a resident Jedi right now and overanalyze the realism of this shit. I'm
Oh,
just gonna be
yeah.
like, this is an entertaining movie. I will let it go. I'll bring it up, but I'm not gonna complain
Yeah. Yeah.
about like you get like livid about some of these
I'm
things
not livid.
where
I'm just passionate. I just have passion.
okay, all right, passionate's the right word.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's funny that you bring that up because I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, just let it go. It's a movie. At this point in time in the movie, it's just like so many other things that have gone completely bananas that like I'll let this one go too. So
Yeah. Yeah. No,
why am I bothering to bitch about this?
I'm with you. I'm with you. And you're getting I think the best part about the length of this movie is the amount of amazing 80s character actors that they were able to jam into it.
There is a
Just
lot.
so, but they're all, I'm just like happy to see them. I'm happy to see Michael McKean as the cop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to see so many of these. I'm happy to see Ben Stein randomly. Why we don't know, but it's just like, oh, I know you. We tried to win your money. Um,
I mean, the very first cameo, I would like to say that's a cameo, right? Is freaking Kevin Bacon. I was like, oh my
not
God, Kevin
only
Bacon's in this movie?
not only first cameo, first acting role.
No,
Yup.
no. I will bet you. I'll bet you right now.
I'm just saying.
I'll bet you right
Um,
now. Wait. Hold on. Don't fucking Google anything.
I'm
I see
Googling
you
it.
type.
I'm a
No,
100% on that.
first.
It's his
No.
first
No.
role.
Bet right now. Tell me that Kevin Bacon's first role is that movie, and I'll prove you wrong right now. Bet.
I'm 99% sure it is. The only reason I
You're
haven't
you're
doubted you.
99. No, I'm sorry. You're 100% wrong because his
Yeah.
first role, Animal House.
Was it? Are you sure?
Animal House. Pay
Mm,
up on a future episode. Kevin Bacon, first role, no. Animal House. Or even if it's not, Animal House is not his first role. Either way, way earlier than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Way earlier. You got Animal House there. Who knows? Maybe even Friday the 13th might have been even before
no,
Planes,
this came
Trains, and
out in
Automobiles.
79.
Animal House? When did that come out?
78.
No, 78,
I'm just guessing he filmed
79.
this beforehand because he wasn't even credited.
So is
Uncredited
that
Kevin Bacon.
are we putting up the L on that one right
I
there?
don't know if we are. I don't know if we are. You know what Kevin Bacon's presence in this movie does though? It has
Nothing.
provided me over the years many W's at the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon because
Yeah,
of all of the character actors in this. This is a great flex point for that game.
I was gonna say like that's the first thing I thought of like holy shit, that is
It
the reason
connects
why
so many people.
people play
Now
Six
that,
Degrees to
dude,
Kevin Bacon.
Selena Gomez, 2 steps.
Yeah, who would have thunk
Fucking,
it, right?
fucking
Justin
done.
Justin Bieber
Just
connected to Kevin
everybody.
Bacon for
Everybody.
sure.
Less than 6 because he's Kevin fucking Bacon.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so favorite character actor you saw? Mine wasn't Michael McKean. It was nice to see. I think we both might have the same one. I'm not sure.
Edie McClurg for sure.
Yup. Yup.
She always
Just
plays the same role.
just and I was reading about this movie because I wanted to know more because I was excited about it. Where I found out that he wrote it in 3 days. She improved that phone conversation
Did she?
completely. Completely. You know I can cook. Like
Oh my
completely improv
god.
it. So
That's hilarious.
just her in such a great way. Um
Favorite Edie McClurg girl?
Ferris Bueller. Ferris
Hmm.
Bueller all day
I mean,
long.
she is great in that.
This is now like 1 and 1A.
Really? So you think so? More so than Small Wonder?
Yeah, yeah, because I both of them have visceral, like the he's a righteous dude is so quotable, and
She's also more
this
likable,
also
right?
what?
She's more likable in
Yeah,
Ferris Bueller. You know, like
yeah.
I mean, no one liked her in Small World or Small Wonder. Did I say Small World before? Shit,
No, you
Small
said
Wonder.
Small Wonder. You said Small
Okay,
World this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small wonder. My favorite 80s TV show, I think.
It's such a deep cut, and I loved it too.
Tiffany Brissett, where are you? You know,
Nobody knows.
you were a friend of the podcast. I haven't talked to you in years. Give us a line. You know, we'll have you on
She,
anytime.
she's trying to get back to Chicago from St. Louis. It takes a while. Takes a
Yeah.
while.
Oh man. So speaking of traveling, especially around the holidays, because it is Thanksgiving, uh, traveling around the holidays. So do you travel around that time where everyone else does?
I try to avoid it at all costs. Luckily, my family's like in a fairly close proximity, but like people that want to go on vacation for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, like no, no, thank you. That's
Hmm.
not. I've been to the airport too many times after the holidays and seen all of the abandoned bags, all of the like I've
Yeah.
been part of enough post like bookend travel for work to be like, uh-uh. But I mean, do you have a different opinion? Are you a holiday traveler? Do you like to use those miles?
I haven't traveled in my adult life. I haven't really traveled during the holidays. I've always pretty much stayed at home. When I was younger, my family is, I'm not going to cue the sad music on this one. We would usually take like a trip to like Disney or something around the holidays or, some other fun family stuff. And I put that in quotes. But so the way that you're making it sound for like the holidays, with the abandoned bags and everything like that, uh, any other personal horror stories that you've had during the holidays while traveling?
No, because I don't do it.
Oh, you
None,
just
none
don't
during the
screw
holidays.
it.
But
Nah, don't
but
do it.
I think all of us that travel for business have had like those horror stories when traveling, and that's right from the pickup of this movie where I just empathized with Steve Martin. One, I questioned whether he was like a seasoned business traveler because who tries to get the 6 o'clock flight? What what idiot is trying to get in New York is trying to get from Manhattan like to JFK in that amount of time? Who's trying to do it? You can't get to the rental car at JFK in less than an hour. Like who's trying to do that?
But back
Um
then, you were able to because you could walk right up to the fucking terminal.
I even with that, like I don't know. I don't know. I did as he was running towards the terminal, just like, oh no, TSA. What a life.
Yeah, right.
What a life. But
Uh, the terrorists won, you know.
are you one of those guys that likes to book that flight like right there? Or do you use a buffer? Are you a buffer guy?
I'm always like a buffer for that. Like I'm so even if I had like I travel quite a bit, I don't have TSA pre-check or clear or anything like that. I should, but even if I did have that stuff, I'd be at the airport super early. So I always try and get my flights arranged in that buffer zone to where like okay, no worries, no issues. To where if I miss that flight for whatever reason or I'm in that danger zone of missing it, yeah, I'll catch the next one.
Yeah, no, I like to plan it close. But I
I
like to fly home. I don't like to fly home in the morning. I like to
oh
fly home night of.
okay.
I also like to arrive morning of. So I'll leave for the airport at 4 a.m., sleep on the plane.
So I will say I don't have a horror story about traveling. I have a couple of unfortunate and or funny anecdotes about my personal travel. So when I was younger, there was a vacation that my family took where we drove from Chicago to Myrtle Beach, and I really liked that vacation. And we were going to go the next year. And so I was all jazzed about it, right? Because I loved road trips when I was younger. There's something about road trips, listening to the radio and hitting the scan button, and all of a sudden it finally hits that radio station. It's like, oh, cool, here's a good song. It's like gold, right? And then the multiple stops, you get good food, and You end up pissing in water bottles and stuff like that because you don't want to make a stop. You just keep going. I don't know. There was that nostalgia factor there for me that I really liked as a child, and I was super excited about going again to Myrtle Beach. And I think I was around 11 years old at the time, maybe 12. And it turns out that my mom got sick beforehand. And so the day that we were leaving, it's like, yeah, we're not going to go because mom's sick and she's just not feeling well. So we're not going to drive the however many hours it takes to get there. I was pissed, disappointed, gutted. I mean, you would think that Christmas was canceled for me. Not that I got really great presents, anyways, but it was just like, oh, I'm missing out on this road trip, the road trips that I love going on. And so that was kind of like a horror story or just like an unfortunate incident. There was one other traveling incident that involves a plane that it was right around COVID. Before COVID was a thing, before the entire world shut down, I had to sprint from one end of O'Hare to the other end because I had a connecting flight. And if I didn't hit that flight, I'm not going home that day. I'm going to have to wait until the next day. And I think there was about a good like 15 minutes from the time I landed to try and get to my other flight, which is across the airport. I sprinted with a bag, like a rolling bag, a carry-on bag, and a backpack. I ran the fastest in my entire life, and my lungs were on fire. Now, when I got to I finally made it, and it was like maybe 2 minutes to spare. It was close. So I'm breathing hard, I'm breathing heavy, I'm coughing. And at that point, everyone's on edge because you're seeing everything in the media, and it's like, yeah, it's not a good idea to be coughing right now. So I have a middle seat for this flight too. So I get to the flight late, or well, right at the very end of my boarding group or whatever, and I'm coughing hard. I'm trying to hide my cough. I'm trying to like, do the whole silent cough underneath without exhaling. And I'm apologizing to people. I swear I'm not sick. I just ran from the other side of the airport and I've just got a really bad cough. And of course, that's what someone with COVID would probably say. So that way they'll let them on the flight. And it was just the most uncomfortable. I was so embarrassed, so uncomfortable. And that is my unfortunate events of a plane story.
I can imagine what that flight would have been like. Um, we flew probably 2 weeks before everything shut down, or I flew 2 weeks before everything shut down, and luckily there was no running. It was the Tampa airport, like all gravy there, baby.
Yeah, nice and easy.
But I did my worst travel experience. I got stuck in Baltimore. It was one of those few times where I didn't take the late night flight home. I was like, yeah, no, we're doing a late thing with the team. I'll go and then we'll do dinner and then I'll just take the early flight out. I'll even book I'll book the 10 o'clock instead of the 8 o'clock. I'll sleep in and mosey on over to the airport. And, because we had an event at a place and I was done the day before it ended. So I just mosey in and I get there and I wake up and I'm like, oh, that's weird. My flight's already delayed. Well, I'm just going to figure it out. And I get to the Baltimore airport, turn in my rental car. And I had this inkling as I'm driving to the airport where I checked my phone GPS to see how long it would take me to drive, because I was on I-80 in Maryland, right? How long it would take me to drive home. And it was like 8 hours. And I was like, man, that would suck. Oh, well, turn in my rental car and go home, go to the airport. So I get there for a 10 a.m. flight. And that was the day some psycho took out the radar tower or radar installation in Chicago. So every Chicago flight was canceled. I didn't get out of that airport until 11 o'clock to fly to Grand Rapids, Michigan, get a rental car, and then drive the 3.5 hours home from Grand Rapids.
Wow. So you were able to book the rental car and just do a one way to Chicago, huh?
I got on with, we had like a travel service we worked with, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, but I had to get the rental car in Grand Rapids. And I didn't land in Grand Rapids until like 1 a.m.
We have some planes. We have some car stories. Do you have any horror stories about trains at all?
I used to have to take the train to the city a lot. By the city, I mean I had about an hour train commute in and out of work for about 4 years. Um, and you have not despised people until you've been around commuters. Like just just the worst people.
Commuters are the worst people?
Oh,
See, I think I would think it would be the other way around. I think the commuters are fine and other commuters are fine too. It's the people who never ride the train who decide to ride the train and thus make the
those people
commuter
don't
experience
those
worse.
people don't do it during commuter times. Like on those express trains when everybody and their mother's trying to get on them that are all commuters, like people push you out of the way. People
Oh yeah.
like you just they're inconsiderate.
I
And
mean,
it is what it is.
let's be real though. This and the commuter experience that you've had is nothing in comparison to like the subways in Tokyo. Right? Have you seen those videos where they're
Oh yeah.
like the security people basically are just like
Dude,
shoving people into the
I've
doors?
oh, you just so I made a dumb decision once. With my
Once? Only
wife.
once?
Only once. Um, I made a dumb decision this one time to take the red line from the Wrigleyville station on New Year's to the loop to get back to my cousin's apartment. We all left. So we went out for New Year's, right? We're at the bar, get through New Year's, the champagne, the toasting, the singing, all that stuff, right? And we we head to the street to get back to like his place. And for some reason, our group of three, group of six or five breaks up into three pieces. Me and my wife walk towards the train. His buddy that was with us jumps in a cab with another couple. That's a great story for another time. And him and his future wife jump in an Uber. Um, and all of us get back at different times. Me and my wife got back the latest because we tried to get on the red line with all the drunk people. And it is literally like that scene that you're talking about, where everybody's just trying to push into the train. And it's the tightest, most uncomfortable thing with a bunch of drunk people. Don't know if they're going to throw up, don't know if they're going to pass out. We're drunk. Like the whole situation was, and it's cold, and they won't close the doors, and it's frigid in, January in Chicago. It's memorable. It's
So
memorable.
basically you got screwed in a very uncomfortable place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would have
Like the
killed
back
to
of a
take a ride in the
Volkswagen.
back of the Volkswagen back. Would have killed. So yeah, no, I mean,
Nice.
I think we've all, and I think that's why this movie was so good, at least good for me, is you can just empathize with all of the pain going on here. I think the only thing that I haven't done is steal a cab or had a cab stolen from me because I just Uber, baby.
Yeah, I've never had any issues with cabs. I think I've maybe hailed a cab twice in my entire life.
Mm.
Everything else has been Lyfts or Ubers, but I will say I did have a unfortunate Uber driver an experience. The driver himself wasn't a bad guy. He was nice, very nice. And I was going to the airport and he picked me up wearing a tank top. It was in the summer and his hygiene just wasn't the best that day.
You a stinky driver.
It was like, it was like tacos inside the car and onions. Tacos and onions. It was just it was so ripe you could just pick the stench fruit off his body. And yeah, I was, and the worst made it worse is that he decided to take a shortcut because like, oh, with the traffic at this time, I'm gonna save you 15 minutes right here. I was like, no, you won't. There's no way you can save me 15 minutes by driving further out of the way. It doesn't work that way. Distance does not work that way. And even if that was your shortcut, I know you're getting paid by the mile too. So yeah, come on, dude. Just quit trying to stretch this out. Luckily, I got to the airport okay, and I made my flight no problem because I have that 2 hour buffer zone. But yeah, when you're in a cab or if you're in a Uber, in my case, and it smells like tacos and onions, and it's not because there's tacos and onions in the car,
Yeah.
it makes you sick to your stomach before you get on your flight, and I was pretty miserable.
Nobody likes a smelly driver. Get some Axe body spray, guys. Jeez. Do you have a favorite airport you like to fly out of? They talked about a few different ones, and Wichita was very interesting in this airport. But
I don't know if I have a favorite airport to fly into or out of. A lot of it just revolves around the food. You know, like what can I get at that airport that's good for food? Because not every airport has good food or at least smart food for you to eat before flying. So it's tricky, right? Like no one wants to shit themselves or be gassy on a flight. But you do what you got to do. I will say I because it's home. I like being at Midway Airport, not because of the food, but just because like oh yeah okay, I used to live here and I used to fly out here quite a bit, so I like seeing that. Um, Houston is kind of cool just because the the scenery or the stuff that's inside the airport. But you know what? I will say that Salt Lake City, I like that airport.
ooh,
Um, I like it just because of the fact that you've got the nice little food court there, but you have that cool little area in front of the windows where if there's someone who wants to play the piano, they'll play the piano. But they have those really nice, comfortable chairs that you kick your feet up on a stool and just stare out into the window. And you got the
Boston has
mountains.
that.
The mountains are in the background, though. It's cool, man. I don't know.
Boston has rocking chairs. No,
I don't give a shit.
no. So one of the reasons I hate SLC is there's no like movable walkways. It's just you're hiking. You're hiking everywhere.
Live a
But
little, man.
any airport, you're just like, don't want to go here.
I don't really have like an airport that I hate, but I always make the same mistake at Houston, or no, I'm sorry, Dallas. I always make the same mistake at Dallas, and I get Dickey's barbecue, and it's never good.
So are we talking DFW or are we talking love?
Love, I want to say it's Love.
Yeah.
Whatever one Dickey's barbecue's at, but like, why would you get Dickey's barbecue? It sucks to begin with. And I still always get it because I don't want to get the other food that's there.
Yeah, because Whataburger's terrible.
I don't know. I still haven't had Whataburger, but I'm gonna once
It's a good
again say
choice.
it's probably better than In-N-Out. And I'm in California right now. You know what place I haven't gone to? In-N-Out
You're
because
just
it's
depriving
overrated.
yourself of wonder.
Overrated. That's all that I can
Depriving
say.
yourself of wonder. Um, I've got to say MCO is the absolute worst. I think
Which
that
one is MCO?
Orlando.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is bad.
It's
Yeah.
all of the Disney. Like I'm one of the Disney families. We're actually going after Christmas this year. One of the few post holiday trips I've ever wanted to take. But we're taking our son down. I don't look forward. I don't because like I'm gonna be one of those people now that has the kid that doesn't. It's just traveling with kids and people that don't know how to travel are even. They're all
Yeah,
there. All of
fair
them
enough.
go there.
Fair enough. I can understand that.
Honorable mention to New York though, to JFK. It's just never
Uh,
good. It's just
yeah,
never good.
yeah. Anything in the Northeast, I'm not a big fan of in terms of airports. Not a big fan, but
Oh, Hartford's beautiful.
I haven't been out that way.
Mm. Oh man. Um, so Steve Martin goes through these airports and he gets bumped getting into first class to a middle seat. Is there any more degrading bump other than off the flight? But
I mean, I'm telling you right now that motherfucker's not real. I mean, is that not the best bump ever, or the worst bump ever? Because that was like the thing for a long ass time. That woman that was just like, I'm telling you right now. Oh God, so good.
I felt his pain there. And it's also the reason I just fly Southwest all the time because if you fly them enough, you're like the first person on the plane and nobody has
Yeah.
an assigned seat and there is no first class. So I'm getting my window and I'm going to sleep.
You know what I love about Southwest and redneck first class. If you've got A list, and the funny thing is, like I when I first started flying, I would always like I'd wait till like the exact minute to check in, like, oh, maybe I'll get A list, because that way, like if I go on right at 2 p.m., I'll definitely get A list because there's no one else that's gonna beat me. I didn't realize that it's already like predetermined for like a lot of people for A.
Yeah.
But now that I'm A-list and I fly on Southwest a lot, it's just so funny. I love it when I have like a boarding class assignment because a lot of times I won't check in and they'll just give me like automatically assign my whatever my boarding group, and they'll
Mhm.
give me like a B or a C, but I've got the A-list status anyways. I always hold my phone up so people can see that it's like, oh, C-24, and I'm in the A line, and people, like I'm just holding it up so people can see. It's like, they want to say something. They want to say like, hey, idiot, this is A right now. You're C. And like there was a couple times where people saw me holding it up and they're like, yeah, this person's gonna get, he's gonna walk up there, get it scanned, like, sorry, we're not taking C class right now. And I walk right on. And the looks that they give me is just so satisfying.
Boarding at Southwest is great. Have you ever gotten A1?
I upgraded to pay for A1 time
Mm.
because it was a like a 4 hour flight and I was just over my work trip. And I'm just like, fuck no, I'm not sitting in a middle seat for 4 hours after this horse shit work trip. I am paying. So I paid the $50 or whatever the hell it was to get bumped up to A. I think it wasn't A1, it was A2.
Yeah.
But
I
what about you?
I've gotten A1. I've paid for it before, but I also used to consistently get A16, which for listeners that don't know, it's like the first 15 are for sale.
Yeah.
The next one isn't. That's just all pity.
Yes,
That's
it's
what it
so
is. They're
good.
like,
Yes.
you've flown here that we're sorry. We're
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh man.
Oh,
Southwest. A lot of people kind of, the flight snobs, the airline snobs will always look down at Southwest. Like, you'll see some TikToks or shorts or reels with people videoing people standing up like the cattle call, and they just wait to get on their flight. And it's like, I don't give a shit. I'm in an assigned seat, so I'm gonna wait. Like this isn't Southwest, you peasants. And yeah, I don't mind either way.
you know what
Like, what do I
I've
care?
never complained about? Getting bumped from my first class seat to a middle seat.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
complained.
Never happened. Never happens to
Nope,
me,
nope,
but
nope, nope, nope.
yeah. Well,
Mm.
I mean, that's like there's so many things that can go wrong with travel, right? But at the same time, between planes, trains, and automobiles. What do you think is like the worst case scenario for that? Like, what's the very worst way to travel?
I mean, all of them have their merits. I mean, it depends on the distance, I think, and the time you need to be there.
Over the holidays, that's what it is.
Yeah,
What's the
I've been.
worst one to do?
It's got to be flights. It's got to be because
Right?
they're so back and forth. I mean, I I've been wanting to do, like, I would travel by train. I would love to. The only problem is it takes like 3 days
Yeah.
to get somewhere, and I'm just
It's
like, I don't. My kid doesn't have the patience, and I don't know that I have the ability to just like uproot my life for that long. Like, who does that? Who goes cross country in a train? On the East Coast, it's probably popular because it's not that, New York to Boston by train, couple hours. But
people do it, and there used to be a reason for you to take the train. Now it's not even, like, a lot of times now it's not even cheaper to do a train
no,
when you factor in the time. And like, why would you? Like, why wouldn't you can just take a car and fucking get whatever you want at all the different rest stops and restaurants on the way. Like, it makes no sense. Yeah,
yeah,
you
you
don't
got to
have to
power
drive
that
because you're on a
drive
train.
though. That drive can be. I mean, I'm an okay long haul driver. Like, don't get me wrong, I can do like a 9 hour straight through drive, but it sucks. And it's never, it doesn't suck on the way there because you're excited, you're pumped up for the rest of the trip. But the way home is always like that I think is the that's the reason that I always fly to Disney and go through, Orlando, is that it's a long drive and it's just days. Are you a stickler for anything specific in your hotel rooms? Because I felt for Steve Martin with the shitty shower, because that is so, like, one of the, if I go somewhere and the shower is amazing, I will rebook that hotel over and over again. Specifically, the hotel I'm talking about in Tampa, right on the Marriott right there. I book that hotel every time I go to Tampa, regardless, because the water pressure is amazing. Like, you feel like a real person. Have you ever had
I
a bad shower in a hotel where you're just like,
Yeah. Oh,
I
for
could
sure.
have, I could have dumped water over my head with more pressure and cleaning
Well,
ability than this.
I think I was at, was it like the Resorts World in Vegas, where you have like the little bench that you can sit down in the shower. Ah, fucking amazing. Especially after a long day. You got the shower going, excellent pressure, plenty of space in there, and then you just sit down. Whether it's, you were drunk or maybe you're just tired, you can sit down after a long day or a long night and just enjoy the shower. I will say though, when it comes to hotel stays, if I'm only there one night, you bet your ass that I will use every single towel in that room, and they will all be damp at the end of at the end of my one night stay. Even if there's 10 towels in there, sorry, they're all being used. You're gonna earn your keep, and I'm gonna get my money's worth of towel use. So yeah,
Man,
that
you
when I
better be.
saw those John Candy using those that many towels, I was like, wow, I can totally relate to that.
So, speaking of that scene with all the towels, I think that entire hotel scene might have been my worst nightmare.
I don't understand why it'd be your worst nightmare, because you should be absolutely fuming and furious that this is so unrealistic. Because if you were to tell your wife that you met some rando at the airport and because you're trying to get home, you're going to share a hotel room with him, come on, don't tell me that that's a realistic plot or a realistic thing for you to happen and a reasonable way for you to try and get home. Come on.
Dude, it's just a weird situation. I'm not above just crashing on an airport bench. Like,
Yeah.
not above that. I would just stay at
Wait,
the fucking airport.
but
Um,
you wouldn't, nice guy at the airport, if he offered to split a hotel room with you, you wouldn't go? No?
no, no, I'm not, it was the 80s. I mean, that was just, or 70s. It's just a thing. would you ever share a room with a stranger adult, like in that manner? Have to share a bed?
No, unless it was like a smoking hot female. That's the only reason. Obviously, if I was not married, that would be the
I
only
was
way
wondering
that
how
that
you're
would be
gonna
the
recover
case.
from that one. Good
Yeah,
job.
absolutely not. No fucking way. And you
Mhm.
know what? Even my wife would be like, "That's what you're doing?
Pay for the room, Dan.
Okay. Well, when you get home, your things will be waiting outside
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
something's going on with you and your
Yeah.
friend that you met at the airport.
You
Like,
and Dell. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dell, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
ugh, jeez,
So
that's so
last
weird.
last question. As Steve Martin woke up in this situation, he had obviously been spooned against his will. Like that's have you ever, maybe at the University of Iowa, ever woken up spooned against your will?
I mean, no, I don't put myself in those situations. No. And
Hmm.
anytime like someone would spoon me, it's not like, like it'd be friends trying to prank each other. And so like
Prank
whatever.
each other right in
Yeah,
between those
exactly.
pillows.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those aren't pillows.
Yeah.
Okay. Those aren't pillows.
There's
But no,
no
never happened. What about
there's
you?
no
If I feel
there's
like
no
you
more
may have.
jarring way to wake up than with an unexpected spoon.
Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit Canteen Boy with Alec Baldwin and Adam Sandler?
No.
The best, the absolute best Adam Sandler and Alec Baldwin skit on Saturday Night Live. It's about a scoutmaster, Alec Baldwin, and Canteen Boy, played by Adam Sandler. And it's essentially, like, how the reputation of adult scoutmasters are. They diddle the kids. Well, that was very much the premise of that skit. But it is one of the funniest. I don't know if they still have it out there, but so damn funny.
The internet has everything, I'm
I would
sure.
recite it line by line, and just thought it was one of the funniest things. One of my core memories for Saturday Night Live and Alec Baldwin and Adam Sandler.
Yeah, no, I've woken up with a random spooner before.
What?
You remember the story about the train?
Yeah.
Same New Year's. My wife is sleeping on this couch here. My cousin's buddy is sitting on sleeping on another couch, and I have an air mattress in the middle of the room, pumped up that I'm just hosing out and sleeping out on. And yeah, wake up, and for some reason he's on that air mattress, and I'm just like, what the hell? Fuck, Dave.
Allegedly, that's the name. I don't know. That's we
Yeah,
don't
no,
know if
that's
that's the
that's
name. Yeah.
obviously not real.
Made up name.
Made up, totally made up. But yeah, it was hilarious, and also just like uh,
Must have been fun for you. Oh, who knows?
I, mm, I don't know, I don't know. But at least it
But
wasn't a stranger. At least it wasn't a stranger.
yeah, I mean that's one of the things about this movie is that John Candy and Steve Martin, two complete strangers, almost star-crossed, right? Like they are meant to interact with each other throughout this entire movie because number one, that's how the movie was written. But number two, it's just by sheer coincidence, all the things just line up perfectly for them to continue to have these interactions. And I don't know, how do you feel like when you're sitting next to someone on a plane or at an airport waiting to board or anything like that? What are your thoughts on kind of interacting with strangers when you travel?
I have two words or three words when it comes to that. Noise canceling headphones. No, thank you. Not interested. I'm good.
What would you rather? So let's say, for example, for a plane, who would you rather sit next to? Someone who is absolutely gorgeous model, like 10 out of 10 type of looks physical wise, or an average Joe? Who would you want to sit next to between the two?
Um, don't care as long as
Don't
they
care.
leave me the fuck alone.
I would rather sit next to the average Joe because I would just be so uncomfortable next to that other person the entire flight because I have this thing about proximity and making sure people have their own personal space and stuff. And when it comes to like if you had like a I don't know, like name your celebrity crush and if they were sitting next to you on the plane, I would almost just feel so nervous and just awkward that I wouldn't be able to hold myself in a presentable fashion throughout the entire flight. I'd be so weird. I would just like either stare completely at the wall or the window or into the other aisle, or I would just look face down and I would scrunch up my shoulders to make sure I'm not like touching them at all whatsoever. If it's a normal average dude like myself, it's like okay, cool. I'm just playing it as it is, and like I'll watch my movies on my phone and listen to some music or a podcast. But there's something
You
about the comfort of attractive people compared to the everyday people that you'll run into. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
you and I approach domestic air travel very differently.
Well, we switch up with the transportation from planes to buses. Have you ever started a bus sing along before?
I have started busing along.
Me
That
too.
John Candy scene resonated with me in a huge way. Um, because I was like, oh, and I have a go-to song that I've started multiple bus sing-alongs with.
Oh God, is it a country song?
It is not a country song.
Okay, all right. I feel better
It
about
is a
myself now.
TV theme song. And I
Okay, which
don't
one?
think it would work anymore. I think it's ruined.
Is it Cheers?
It is not Cheers. I've started at
Okay.
least 3 bus sing-alongs with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme. And now it's ruined.
Yeah, Will Smith isn't very liked
No, not
nowadays.
cool anymore. Got to find a new song.
So with celebrating holidays, do you celebrate holidays on the day or when it works for everyone? Like, is it like Christmas Day? It's Christmas Day celebration, or is it like, hey, we're gonna celebrate Christmas over at our house, and it's like the week before or the week after or something like that?
I think that was the biggest problem with the Steve Martin in this movie is they just set up this unrealistic expectation that you got to be home for Thanksgiving. Well, I mean, I can't help it. I'm in fucking Kansas. It's not like the in-laws were there and staying for a while, all that stuff. I know you got kids and you got to figure that out. And I think that the business trip was just an unrealistic thing to do it around. And if they would have done it 2 weeks early, no problems. Oh, sorry, honey.
I don't think that's right though. I feel like Thanksgiving can only be on the day of, maybe the day after. Or
I
if it's
think
on
you
the
got to do
weekend,
it.
maybe, spur. But yeah, I'm like that's like like I don't know. Birthdays obviously are a little bit of a different story too, but I don't know. I like to keep it as close to the actual day as possible.
I'm
Like
a
Halloween.
proponent of flexibility. Like Halloween
Halloween
is
is
like the
so
only one you
flexible.
gotta. I'm just talking about the ones where you get like a large group of family together. I don't know if you do
Sure.
Halloween celebrations with turkeys and such, but like if
Yeah.
you can get everybody together, you just get them together. When does Friendsgivings are never on Thanksgiving? Like or maybe they are, maybe I don't know, but I'm a proponent of getting as many people together as you can, as opposed to respecting a significant agrarian calendar date.
Fair enough. But so like when it comes to holidays, one of the big things about holidays are food. If you listen to our previous Thanksgiving episode, we talked about some of our like dream Thanksgiving dishes. Uh, Food you're looking forward to the most. What is it for Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, there will be a considerable amount of turkey eaten this week. I'm on the staples, man. Turkey, stuffing, little cranberry, the jelly kind, not the fresh kind, because fuck that. Um,
Oh, really? I like the fresh kind.
no, you're the wrong kind of people. And some gravy. Got to get the gravy. Gravy's important.
Yeah, I'm not. I like the idea of just a lot of food at Thanksgiving, but turkey, I I'm okay with it. I'm just not like, oh my God, I need some turkey. I've gotten to that point in my life to where it's like I only want to eat the good stuff. I don't want to just put in filler into my mouth, you know? Like I want good food. And turkey, if done well, great, fantastic, great, grand, wonderful. But if it's just an average turkey, it's like, well, why am I even eating this? Like if I have to douse this in gravy to make it taste better, like what are we doing here? Is this Thanksgiving or is
I'm
this
not
freaking
saying,
America? Right?
oh, I like the gravy on the stuffing and on the turkey,
Yeah, I mean,
but
so do
the,
I.
the turkey is always moist. Like you gotta brine that bad boy for at least a day and a half before you cook it.
I don't brine and my turkey turns out pretty moist. You
Oh
just gotta
yeah.
know how to
But
cook it.
but if you brined, it'd be better, more
Would it though? Would it?
flavorful.
Butter bath, my friend. Butter bath
Oh, okay,
throughout the
Kramer.
entire turkey.
Okay, Kramer.
Fantastic. And so good. So good. And definitely nice golden brown for sure. Just like Kramer.
Are you a whole bird guy or are you like I've recently migrated away from getting a whole bird and doing just turkey breasts.
Oh no, it's gotta be the whole bird. But I no longer keep it at the one big turkey. I'll spatchcock it.
Okay.
And no, it's not a dirty word, kids. It's just
No,
the
it's a
way.
it's a
It's a
it's a
cooking
technique.
tech.
It's a technique.
Spatchcock.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not I'll spatchcock a game bird every now and then, but no, I'm a big I've started to just the breast meat comes out the best. It's easier to brine multiple, and I'll throw them on the smoker for a few hours and just Jeff's kiss. They come out amazing.
Any plot holes that are sticking out to you at all?
I just this whole movie, I'm trying to figure out how that guy got that trunk around.
Yeah,
How did he get it
because
off
there
the
wasn't wheels
plane?
on it, right?
How did he get it off the plane? How did he get it on the plane? Like if he checked the trunk, they're not going to give you your
True.
checked baggage. Did they go to baggage claim?
The big thing for a plot hole for me, like I didn't really care about the trunk, but I was kind of curious as to why he hit it because Steve Martin looks at it funny, right? I thought there was gonna be more about that, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we ever really find out the significance of that trunk, other than the
There's
fact that he just keeps the shit in there.
Dude, there's some really good theories about the trunk. Have you heard about this fan theory that Dell killed his wife and his wife's in the trunk?
I haven't heard the fan theory because I've never seen the movie before, so no.
Oh yeah, no, there's a
I
lot of
think but now that makes sense as to why I thought this was like Throw Mama from the Train because maybe I did hear it and that's why I thought that this movie was about like murder and like
yeah. Whether
crime
it's
and
whether it's
stuff like
Dell
that.
Dell killed her or Dell just brings his wife everywhere with him. Like they didn't go into the trunk. Everybody thinks that the body's in the trunk. But I just thought it was I just thought there's because this movie's so popular, there's so many like random fan theories, right? Like as Steve Martin, why doesn't Steve Martin realize that Dell's alone right away? Like why doesn't he pick up on anything? And there's
When
you
did
know
you realize that his wife was dead?
when they were eating and he's like, oh, I never go home. What about you?
I thought about it like right at the hotel. Like, why would you have a picture of your wife like that and look at her the way that John Candy looked at her? And by the way, John Candy, very great actor, and it's instances just like that. And even throughout the course of this movie, that he emotes with his face, you could see the tears in his eyes, or even just like the sadness or emptiness that is within him. And so I thought like right then and there, he did such a good job of emoting as to like, oh, there's a really strong connection. He loves this person in the picture, but this person isn't around anymore. And so that's what I thought. And so when they kept on talking about it, it was only cemented when he said, like, oh, I haven't been home for years. Like, yep, she's dead. That's the reason why.
Yeah. I was thinking like, is Dell a person? Like that was
Like, are
my
you talking about like Bruce Willis? Like, is he dead? Or like
I
Sixth
was
Sense?
more
Is that
thinking about like It's a Wonderful Life, you know?
okay?
Like is he Clarence?
That's it's an interesting theory in the sense that, like, yeah, because there's that weird ending where his, Steve Martin's wife in the movie is very sad for whatever reason. And I don't think that's ever established as to why, right? Like, I mean, you can kind of piece it together where he's like, I've been gone too long.
I thought that at the end of the movie, honestly, like they gave that Dell and the wife had like a knowing glance and things like, did they know each other? Like, is that like his dead wife's sister? Like, what's going on here?
I thought it was one of those instances to where, oh, this is just lazy writing, or maybe something was left on the cutting room floor.
I would
And
guess cutting because John Hughes is not a lazy writer.
mm, eh, I don't know. I'm not going to say he's a lazy writer, right? But there's definitely a plot hole there because it's not fleshed out, and that's one of the things for me is that she looks at him that particular way, and oh, so because her husband happened to tell her about all the different instances of him spending time with him, is that the reason why she gives like the head nod? Like it's almost like just the bro to bro head nod, right? Like yeah, like I don't get it. That
Yeah.
was one thing that was just like eh. But in terms of other, not necessarily plot holes, but critiques of it, there are just so many scenes that are just way too long in the tooth. Like you could have cut that. This could have been an 88-minute movie, in my opinion. Like you totally could have cut down so much time out of this movie, and it still would have been good. It just would have been tighter. It would have been nonstop laughs, but also a little bit of soul searching because you got the whole family aspect, and you've got the
Yeah.
John Candy mourning his wife. But yeah, I don't know. So for this is my first time seeing this. You had mentioned that there was a lot of stuff that was proposed on this movie, or no, they filmed it and then they've
Yeah.
cut it down. Do you think that in its current state that the movie's too long?
I don't want more.
Wow,
I think
wow.
that I think that the drive from St. Louis could be cut down. Like a lot of that could be chipped away, but like the scene that they took out with the pizza ordering and knowing that it was the pizza delivery guy that broke in and stole all their money, like I would have liked to see that more like that. I would have liked
Yeah,
more hijinks, less look, we're driving.
right, right. A lot of that B-roll
But
was
the
just like
car scene was worth it.
I think you could have gotten away with like at the very because it was just a lot of slow burn and pun intended for that.
Yeah.
It was a slow burn for a lot of these scenes. I'm just like, I know where this is going, and it's because I like Steve Martin and John Candy that I'm okay with it. If I think if this was anyone else, I'd be like,
I don't know
really?
about that, man. I don't know. I mean, there's been so many movies that I think are homages to this that are just as drawn out, right? Like I think the first one that comes to mind is Tommy Boy, where they do
It's
some of these jokes, you know.
I think that, but that was a short movie. That was like an hour and a half. This
Eh,
was definitely not worth the amount of time that it was running for. Did you think that Steve Martin's just like a complete idiot for not realizing that his wife's dead?
I think that he was just angry the whole time and trying to avoid the guy, and he's just
Yeah.
thinking about ways to avoid him as opposed to just seeing him as a person.
I
So
think that's pretty indicative of how society is now.
yeah,
People are so angry that we
they
don't
are.
try to understand people as to who they are. And funny thing is that that's probably happened so many times on this podcast where we just talk shit about each other's opinions. Because like no, here's the right way of how it is. And you know what? By the way, it's always going to continue to happen, and that's what keeps this podcast going, and that's
So it
what makes
keeps
it
the
good, in my
listeners
opinion.
coming back, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like yeah, that's it's very true to how people are. I think this was just a nice early preview to that, and John Candy and Steve Martin probably could never have guessed as to how people would have devolved into
There's a
what we are now.
there's a reason this movie stands up. It's because people suck. Which again
Yeah.
is why I don't talk to them on planes.
Who's the worst character? Dell, John Candy, or Neil, Steve Martin?
I think that depends on if you're Adele or if you're a Neil. I think that depends. I mean, most would say that I'm
I'm
probably
only
Adele.
talking to one
I'm not
person right now.
Adele. I'm
So,
not Adele. I'm a Neil.
okay.
So
All
John
right.
Candy was annoying in this movie for me, but I also, having gone through that and let go of some of the anger that Steve Martin was carrying around while traveling, I also pity him too. So I think that both of them are just a little broken, baby. Just a little. They're works in progress.
And the spoon was the glue.
Oh
Spoon
man.
was the glue.
But I've got one important question for you. One last question that I think everybody is ready for, because I think that we've talked longer than the movie goes on. It almost could have been a watch along at this point, but so many good anecdotes, so many good stories. But the one final thing that people want to know from you as you sit in your posh hotel room around all your pillows, all by
Yes.
yourself, without
Alone.
any, I mean, there's nobody else there, right? There's nobody with all the damp towels in your bathroom right now.
Yeah. There is literally some damn towels in the bathroom. But I'm rationing because I'm here for multiple nights.
Oh
So,
man. Oh man.
uh,
So planes, trains, automobiles. Danny, can you do this movie all day?
so it's very interesting because I'll break it down just by the normal criteria. Nostalgia. It was great to see John Candy. It's been a while since I've seen a John Candy movie that I liked. Because and the reasoning as to why is because the last John Candy movie that I saw was the worst movie ever.
You know, it's good that you have that on DVD just in case you want to revisit it.
I don't even know where it is, to be quite honest. It's probably a coaster somewhere. But it was good to see some other cameos. Edie McClurg, oh, fantastic. Kevin Bacon, Ben Stein, a lot of good stuff. Michael McKean. I was never a big fan of Michael McKean, but at the same time, I liked him in some of the Saturday Night Live stuff, and obviously Spinal Tap and Airheads.
Yes, Airheads.
Acting performances were great. I thought that was really, really great because you have like you hate Dell, but then you feel for him, but then you hate him, but then you feel for him again. And then Steve Martin's character, Neil, you just want to root for someone to get home. He wants to go see his family. He's trying to go home to see his family. It's not like he's going to see his mistress, so can't really root for him then. But at the same time, there's some really great emoting from both of those people. I love some good, ridiculous slapstick comedy. And you get a little, not even a little, but you get plenty of that. But I will say, from a rewatchability perspective, I don't know if this will be something that I will watch every year or maybe even once every couple years. I don't know. So it's pretty close, very, very close. Um, I'm going to say I can't do this all day. Not to say that I didn't like the movie, but it's not there at that level to where if I talk to someone like, oh, you gotta see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's a good movie. It's fine. It's entertaining if you're looking for an escape, or maybe you travel, or maybe you just um, you're one of those people that don't like people. I'd be like, yeah, this might be worth for you to check out. But I'm never going to be like heavily endorsing this and putting my stamp of approval, like, oh, got to see this movie. And so that's where I'm at on this. But Mark, I have to return the favor and ask that same question. Planes, trains, and automobiles, can you do this all day?
Yeah, I love this movie. I'm sad it hasn't been in my rotation, and it just it makes me happy. One that I don't travel for business nearly as much anymore, if at all, and it you can't go wrong with John Hughes, John Candy, Steve Martin, and all of the hijinks. I like the old school movies, um, because it's just it's not as heavy, um, and it's just lighthearted, happy humor. I'm a fan, and I love the just random scenes that you don't expect with Steve Martin, where he just goes F-bomb crazy on everybody and took it all the way from PG to R. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so good. That one scene tanked the rating on it for him. But yeah, it's a great movie. I'm a fan. It's going to be it'll be a yearly probably for me. But yeah, I was surprised I haven't been watching this more often. So I was glad we watched it.
I totally forgot about that scene, but I thought that was great to where he was just dropping F bomb after F bomb. And
Just quietly too.
yeah, yeah. And that's like, isn't that the best fucking way to swear is when you talk really
Let's
low? I
go.
know there's like a comedian that did a skit like that to where it's like you start talking like this and but the best type of swearing is like the quiet swearing, right? But yeah, this was a fun movie to talk about because of John Candy, rest in peace, but the comedic genius and just very well put together cast of everyone kind of going back and forth.
Gotta love it.
But it is a ridiculous movie. So if you're looking for an escape, sure, it's warranted. But one thing you can't escape is Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you're all eating some great food. And who knows, maybe you're even sitting down and listening to this podcast while you're enjoying your meal with your family, or maybe even a stranger. But until next time, you enjoy that turkey. And this is Dan, the Part Time Adventure, and that's Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Like, subscribe. This is a great podcast to fall asleep to with on the tryptophan, and then you can just come back to it and revisit it over and over, like you should. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
We'll see you next time.